Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, Bobbie Spencer, part 13, years 2005 to 2013. So I feel like this is the biggest gap that we've ever done.
Yes.
You want to give us a little rundown of how it's going to work out, though? So people aren't like, oh my gosh, I do not have all day to listen to this.
It will not be all day. It will be our typical under an hour. Bobbie was gone for
double speed. You'll be fine.
Right. But on top of that, Bobbie was gone for a few years because this is whenever she went to live in Portland. Remember, Lucas moved to Portland, so she went to Portland. So,
which we just talked about during one of our recaps because somebody wrote in and was like, so here's why Lucas and Michael aren't friends now.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it does cover a lot because we start with like, Lucas hasn't even come out yet. And so we have to go through all of that to get to that point.
We're going to have to deal with this right now. I've had wine.
I'm sorry. It'll be okay. Yeah, you're going to deal with a lot. You're going to, I'm forewarning everyone, you're dealing with Lucas coming out and you're dealing with Tony passing away. So you have a lot. But although those were like big storylines, they were concentrated over just a few months. And then the rest of the year, Bobbie was just kind of her normal supporting role of nurse, and she was not mentioned at all, or it was like a one-liner, Bobbie took the patient down for x-ray, and I didn't include all that stuff because she was doing her job. So that's how we get from 5 to 13, and then it'll take us just as long to do the next one, which is 14 through 16. So
but that's only 2 years. So, that's our typical
3 years. 14, 15, 16.
Oh, yeah, 14, 15, 16, yeah. Wine.
I got it. You just have to read the words, and then I'll explain anything. I did watch video to go along with a lot of it, but, I have it, like, running in the background as I'm doing all this, so I don't know everything about everything, but I have little tidbits here and there.
I understand.
Yeah. So Lucky's sudden cardiac arrest throws the hospital into chaos. Liz is at his side when his heart begins to fail, and her panic is immediate and raw as she calls frantically for help. Tony rushes in, working swiftly to stabilize Lucky. When Lucky survives, Tony quietly tells Bobbie, Sky, and Emily, I was going to say an email, that's not a word, or it is a word, it's not a name, Bobbie, Sky, and Emily, that is nothing short of a miracle. But the relief is short-lived. Lucky has suffered a stroke and remains in a deep coma. Bobbie and Sky try repeatedly and unsuccessfully to reach Luke, though Bobbie admits that she is used to his long disappearances and does her best not to worry. As Lucky lies unresponsive, Steve pulls Liz aside and gently asks if she and Lucky ever discussed life support preferences or a living will. I feel like they were very young to have even thought of that.
We have discussed this. If you have kids, you need to be thinking about this, Amanda.
I feel like they were very young in 2005 to be thinking of that. But
they
anyway,
had kids, and she worked in the medical profession, so it should not be unheard of that she would have considered that. Well, one day we're going to have to piece together this podcast to get your final wishes.
Apparently, Liz is on the same mindset as I am, because she says Liz Shaken doesn't know what Lucky would want, and Bobbie immediately intervenes, forbidding any talk of removing Lucky from life support until Luke arrives. When Luke finally returns, the medical opinion from Tony and Steven is grim. Luke believes the son he knows would never want to live in such a diminished state, but Bobbie, Liz, and Emily push back emotionally, pleading with him not to give up. Desperate for something to reach Lucky, Luke takes Lulu into the room. With Sky and Bobbie behind them, he lifts Lulu so she can kiss Lucky's forehead. She sweetly begs her brother to wake up before ice fishing season is over. As Bobbie prepares to take Lulu to Kelly's, she warns Luke that she will fight him in court if he attempts to end Lucky's life support. I was waiting for you to cry because that was cute that Lulu said, wake up before ice fishing.
Meanwhile, that's a baby's mindset.
Yes, very cute. Meanwhile, Carly has Morgan examined after the ordeal with Faith. Separate from Lucky's crisis, Skye seeks Bobbie later at the hospital, guilt-ridden. She wants to confront Faith to learn how long the kidnapping had been planned. Skye tries to take responsibility for her role in helping Faith escape from prison. Ignoring Bobbie's attempt to comfort her, she confesses everything directly to Rick. I didn't go down that rabbit hole as to why Skye was helping Faith. I know that Faith was the one that kidnapped the kids, but I can't remember why she helped them out. So I'm just leaving that as that is. And then meanwhile, Carly
can't remember. I feel like I want Skye to come back just so that we recap her because I remember being fascinated by her. But
I know you love Faith too, so I thought you were going to be like, Skye was helping because you had it committed to memory, but I don't. Meanwhile, Carly has Morgan examined after the ordeal with Faith. Bobbie reassures her that the baby is perfectly healthy. When Alcazar arrives, Carly immediately demands to know what Faith told him. He reluctantly reveals that Faith claims that she had shot Michael and dumped his body in a swamp. Carly breaks down, refusing to believe it, and Alcazar holds her while Bobbie shields little Morgan from seeing his mother in despair. That was hard to watch because there was a picture, like a Polaroid picture.
I have it in my head. I know exactly what it is. He's laying on the ground surrounded by branches, in the middle of, yes.
Yes. So
I can't tell you what I did last Wednesday, but I can tell you what little Dylan Cash, that's right, that's the actor's name, that was in the middle of that picture. Exactly what that looked like.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. After Michael's memorial service, Carly shares a quiet moment with Bobbie. She agonizes over why she could save herself so many times, but not her son. Bobbie holds her, telling her that one day she'll feel Michael's love again and healing will finally begin. Carly later tries to check on Sonny, but he closes his office door, shutting her out as he numbly pours a drink. Carly's worry deepens. At the same time, the Jones-Scorpio family faces a new medical crisis. Maxie is devastated to be back in the hospital with heart problems. Felicia tries to be strong, reminding her they survived this before. Georgie, tearful in the waiting room with Dylan, confesses as a child she once wished for a heart transplant so everyone would fuss over her. Not understanding the tragedy of BJ's death, only that BJ was Maxie's guardian angel. She wonders aloud how an angel heart could now be failing. Felicia later seeks out Bobbie.
Oh.
I know. Felicia later seeks out Bobbie, overwhelmed by fear, and Bobbie comforts her, insisting BJ's heart is strong and their daughters will not let them down. Maxie undergoes anaplasty, but during the procedure, her blood pressure drops dangerously. Monica realizes she's in the middle of a coronary spasm. As doctors fight for her, Maxie experiences a vision, a white light and little BJ reaching her hand. After Maxie revives, she tells Bobbie that she saw BJ smiling, happy. Bobbie attributes it to anesthesia, but Maxie thinks it may be a sign that BJ wants her to cross over. Felicia insists the opposite. BJ wants Maxie to live. Monica later informs the family that Maxie suffered a heart attack on the table and that her weakened heart cannot undergo anaplasty again. Her only option now is a transplant. Bobbie explains to Felicia that forcing Maxie to seek a donor would require going through court, something a judge would likely refuse. Felicia begs Bobbie, as BJ's mother, to talk to Maxie. Bobbie even visits BJ's grave seeking guidance, because at that point it was Maxie's senior year, so she was an adult, and she was refusing to go for a heart transplant because she would only accept that she had BJ's heart.
Yes.
Maxie has another...
I forgot about that.
Right?
Oh, wow.
I know. As you read it and watch it, it all comes back to you. Maxie has another vision of BJ, who gently urges her to live. When Maxie awakens, she finds Bobbie sitting quietly beside her. Bobbie tells her again that the best way to honor BJ is to live fully. Maxie insists that she will keep BJ's heart, but also believes that she will survive. Bobbie then surprises Maxie with a test, which turns out to be a surprise graduation ceremony arranged by Felicia. Georgie and her friends, along with Felicia, Georgie, and her friends. Maxie is wheeled into the room as Diego plays the traditional graduation music. Her principal gives her her diploma, and Felicia tears up while placing the cap on her head. Watching Tony and Bobbie comfort each other, feeling as though they're reliving the loss of BJ. I miss whenever Diego was good too. Like you read all this and you're like, Diego was a nice guy. What happened that suddenly he turned crazy?
I don't know.
Right? Like he was part of their friend group. It was cute to
Right.
watch them like planning this all for Maxie. Later, Carly goes to the hospital intending to discuss her suspicions about Reese, but Bobbie interrupts, updating her on Maxie and Georgie's crisis. Carly is shaken and confesses that although she never met BJ, she always felt a sister-like connection to her because of how Bobbie spoke of her. She promises Bobbie she'll do anything to help her through this ordeal, deeply moving Bobbie. When Carly walks through the hospital, she overhears Alan asking John Durant to help the Quartermaines gain custody of Michael. Furious, Carly confronts them. Bobbie rushes over when she hears shouting and defends Carly, but Durant coldly points out that Bobbie wasn't much of a mother herself. Jason intervenes, insisting Michael knows where he belongs. Carly fumes that she wishes she had never found Durant, and Bobbie tells her the only good thing Durant ever did was give her Carly.
See, and this is where it does get crazy with the whole sore ass thing, because you're thinking Maxie and Michael are peers.
Right?
So to hear that they're all going through this high school stuff, but we know that it's child, like this is how everyone gets messed up on timelines.
Right. Michael and Maxie and Lucky. It's like all three of them are the same, but they're not the same. Like Lucky has already gone, he's with Liz and should have a will according to you. And Maxie hasn't even graduated high school. And Michael is dead laying in a swamp somewhere still as a little boy.
Exactly.
It all makes sense, Shannon. I don't know what you're talking about.
It does. Soon afterward, John Durant becomes the patient scheduled for surgery, and Bobbie is horrified to learn she'll be assisting. Afterward, Durant awakens angry, claiming he can't feel his legs. He accuses the hospital of malpractice. Pretty darn sure you signed something saying that that was a possibility. So sorry for your luck. And Bobbie nervously wondered, I know, I should be. Sorryforyourluck.com. He accuses the hospital of malpractice, and Bobbie nervously wonders if she hesitated too long in the operating room. That would be a fun 411. How many people think that their subconscious is what caused the problem?
Right.
Like Portia thought that she possibly, hurt Heather, like with Drew when he was on the operating table. Also Portia. How many people think I should not have been in the operating room?
Right.
Durant aggressively interrogates Liz, Tony, and Bobbie, insinuating that Bobbie paralyzed him on purpose to avenge the past. She's a nurse, so she would not have been holding anything that could have nicked him to paralyze him.
It'll explain why it was a possibility as you get further into it. But yeah.
Okay. Carly defends Bobbie fiercely, while Bobbie privately asks Tony if her split-second decision in the OR could have caused paralysis. Tony assures her she acted correctly, warns that Durant may still sue. Carly hires Justice to defend Bobbie, only to learn that Bobbie has already hired Reese. And that is Reese Marshall. Go find the 411 we did on her, because that is where Carly got her name. Carly is suspicious, accusing Reese of using Bobbie to get to her. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman visits Durant, and he mentions cashing in an old favor. When Alexis and Rick question Bobbie about the surgery, Bobbie admits that she clamped an artery herself because the resident froze, insisting she saved Durant's life. Alexis presses whether she knew improper clamping could cause paralysis. Before Bobbie could answer further, Luke storms in and shuts down the interrogation, furious at the treatment of his sister. Outside, Bobbie confesses her emotional exhaustion from Maxie's crisis and her fear that she might have contributed to Durant's condition. Luke urges her not to let Durant destroy her career and vows to help her fight back. Returning to Durant's room, Bobbie calmly denies any wrongdoing. Durant vows to ruin her, but Rick makes certain the threats are recorded. Outside, he tells Bobbie he handled herself well. She handled herself well. At the same time, Alcazar offers to bankroll, that's Lorenzo Alcazar, not Luis.
Yep. Right.
Offers to bankroll the hospital settlement with Durant, but only if Carly becomes head of the hospital's charitable endowment fund. Oh my gosh, we need to do a whole 411, all the things that Carly was handed to be in charge of by other people.
What are you talking about? She's fully qualified for this.
She was given deception because of Sunny. She was apparently asked to be the charitable endowment fund. She was given the Metro Court because of Jax. Let's go on. The role once held by Lila Quartermaine. Tracy is outraged, but Skye accepts the deal on the hospital's behalf. Tracy confronts Bobbie, snaring that Carly will never inherit Lila's role and suggesting Bobbie borrow money from Sunny if she needs it. After Bobbie leaves, Luke privately tells Tracy that Alcazar will indeed protect Bobbie, the lawsuit will be settled, and the hospital board will have no choice but to name Carly to Tracy's position, whether Tracy likes it or not. During the pretrial hearing, the simmering tensions between Bobbie and Durant finally explode. Durant corners her with the claim that everything he's doing is permanent payback for the way he believes she abandoned him years ago. He accuses her of keeping Carly's existence from him and then handing the child off to the first man who came along. Seeing Bobbie's horror when she finds him on the operating table only fueled his desire to make her suffer, and he relishes telling her so. Before she can respond, he abruptly declares himself too exhausted to continue and forces the hearing to be postponed. And it is important to note, I feel like, that Durant was Corbin Burnson.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, if you know him at all as an actor, like, you can just picture all this.
Yeah, he played a jerk very well.
Yes. And then outside the courtroom, Alexis and Rick clash over Alexis's unexpected loyalty to Durant. Rick insists that the Alexis he knew would never defend such a corrupt figure, but Alexis holds firm. Regardless of his character, Durant has the right to representation. Their argument is interrupted when Reese calls to report that her penthouse has been burglarized. Rick wants to rush over, but she assures him that Sunny has already been there and she is fine. She asks instead how Durant behaved in court, and Rick vents about his theatrics. Elsewhere, Tracy steps in behind Bobbie to verbally hammer Durant. She reminds him, and anyone listening, that everyone in town knows Bobbie clawed her way to where she is, while he is a corrupt district attorney destined to be laughed out of court. Oh, shoot. Last week we said that he was a federal...
Oh, yeah. No, he's DA. Yep, you're right.
Did we say he was a federal We said that he was like a federal... I said that he was a detective. You said he was something federal. I think that he might have been a federal attorney.
Okay.
So I was 100% wrong. I think that he was a federal attorney. Like, I think he was a federal attorney, and then he became the DA, right?
That sounds right.
Durant threatens yet another lawsuit, but Tracy only invites him to file as many as he wants. Despite Alexis's warning that his case is flimsy, Durant refuses any settlement. Bobbie is stunned that Tracy, of all people, openly defended her. Again, this goes back to Tracy defending her family, and she knows that her family loves Bobbie. So, She knows Lila loved Bobbie, so she's going to defend her.
Durant is also an extra big jerk because if you remember last time, whenever it came out that Durant was Carly's dad, Bobbie was like, yeah, Durant was one of my regular Johns, but he had a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. And I told him I had feelings for him. And he was like, no, I have no feelings for you. You're just that girl that I go to. So leave me alone or whatever. So for him to turn around and be like, Bobbie left me. She didn't leave. She left you alone like you wanted her to. What are you talking about?
Right. Hi. Carly soon runs into Bobbie and begins venting about Reese and the tangled history involving Charlotte.
That was one of their other friends, remember? Carly slept with the dad of her friend, and that got complicated.
We need to quit reusing names.
Yes.
Guys, you have a real easy way to check this now. Granted, back in 2005, maybe not as easy. I feel like you still would have had some kind of digital file.
If we ever start a TV show, I'm just going to make a list, a nice plain list. Every time we use the name, we'll write it down. But they like the name Charlotte this week.
Bobbie is bewildered by Carly's choice, especially sleeping with Charlotte's father, not Valentine.
Right.
This is not the same Charlotte.
Right.
And their argument escalates. Bobbie throws Carly's past in her face. By the way, no offense, Amanda, but you have had your name used for a couple of main characters already. Even main characters.
Yeah.
There's been one off-screen Shannon mentioned twice.
I'm sorry.
But you were Amanda Barrington,
mm-hmm.
And you're a swim coach. And there was another Amanda. But there was another. There's been like other Amandas.
Yeah.
Shannon could be an actual character for a little while. And then the only one. Okay. Period. End of sentence. Unless Shannon and Amanda from Pier 54 are the hosts of the red carpet for the nurses' ball, in which case we are then representing ourselves and there could still be characters named after us.
Yes.
Bobbie throws in Carly's face that her sorry. Bobbie throws in Carly. Ugh. Bobbie throws Carly's past in her face, the destruction she caused Bobbie and Tony's marriage when she first arrived in town, and insists that Tony was never the same afterward. She angrily suggests that she might be still married to Tony, and Lucas might have a stable family if not for Carly's earlier interference. Bobbie storms off, leaving Carly seething. Reese approaches and dryly observes that Carly seems to be running out of people to blame for her problems. Carly icily replies that a person who has lost everything is the one who others should fear the most. See, this era of Carly gives us hope for Portia.
True. They can evolve, yes.
Although I still feel like Carly does blame other people for a lot of her own choices.
Yeah.
I do feel like we are beyond this Carly.
Right.
This Carly was definitely close to Portia.
Mm-hmm.
At Kelly's, Lucas, prodded by Bobbie to find a female date for her coming party, asks Georgie for help. Georgie pushes back, urging him to stop hiding and tell his parents that he is gay. But Lucas insists he just needs a date. She agrees to help only if he at least considers confessing the truth. As Christmas arrives, Port Charles softens for a moment. A gentle montage shows Bobbie hugging Lucas, families reuniting, lovers embracing, and Edward and Audrey honoring Lila and Steve. What was that? I forget what that was.
They were hanging the pictures up on the wall in the hospital.
Is that when that started?
I don't know if that was the very first one, but that's what they were. That's how they were honoring them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bobbie later interacts with Noah Drake, who reviews a patient file for Tony. Bobbie gently prods him about his wasted surgical talent, but Noah insists people overestimate him and that Tony is better suited for the surgery. When Bobbie later sees him drinking at the hotel, he accuses her of spying. She tells him she is there for her grandson's birthday party at the bar?
I'm guessing at the hotel.
Let's have a baby's birthday at the bar. But the moment reveals how haunted he is. When he apologizes and invites her for a drink, she turns him down and encourages him to seek therapy. At the New Year's party, she is pleasantly surprised to see him sober.
Yes. If you'll remember, he came on scene and he was supposed to be this like award-winning surgeon, but he would not perform any surgeries ever.
Yes.
So now we're into 2006. Bobbie plans to die.
Wait, are you talking about she saw Noah at the bar?
Yeah.
Okay. The way that I read that, because I was stuck on Tony.
Oh, no.
No, it 100% reads.
Yes, sorry.
That it was Noah is who's...
Yes, Noah.
Yes.
She catches Noah drinking. Not that he wasn't allowed to drink, because at that point she didn't know that there was an issue with it, but she is catching on to the fact that he's not doing any surgeries and just consulting. So we're into 2006. Bobbie plans to dine with Noah, but backs out when she realizes the presence of alcohol will tempt him. I don't know why they couldn't just go somewhere else to eat, but okay. She confides the painful memories of her alcoholic father and admits she does not have the strength to relive the trauma with someone she cares about. At Kelly's, she and Mike compare worries about their children. He misses Courtney, and Bobbie worries about Lucas, who has no girlfriend and seems increasingly distant. And Lucas wasn't just not having a girlfriend. He was like getting bad grades and just like, I feel like he was being a typical teenager for a lot of how people act, but whatever.
Also, he didn't necessarily need a date in general.
True.
He was a teenager.
Right.
You still don't need a date in your 20s or whatever, but he was in high school. He was not of the age where, well, I'm not going to go to the wedding by myself. He was a teenager. So it was, you're not really expected to bring dates to things as a teenager.
Correct. So Lucas's private struggle bursts into crisis when he attacks his assailant, Frank, at Coleman's. Frank immediately presses charges. At the PCPD to save himself, Frank reveals Lucas's sexuality to Lucky, but Lucas still refuses to admit it. The frustration builds until Lucas finally breaks. In front of half the station, he shouts the truth that he is gay and unleashes years of fear and resentment. Bobbie's shocked expression devastates him, and he bolts, convinced she is disappointed in him, which was like 100% not fair. Lucas had built this up in his own head, which I can't even imagine what that feels like, obviously. But he is like yelling about, oh, I'm sure I disappoint you because I'm not a big, strong man like Lucky. He's like the perfect specimen of what a Spencer should be. And you can just remind everyone that I'm adopted, because if I was truly the biological child of a Jones and a Spencer, there's no way that I would be gay. And Bobbie is not in that moment. It's not like she's like, get out of my face, I refuse to accept you. She's just legitimately shocked. She had no idea. And then she asks Georgie and Maxie and them if they knew. And Georgie says, yeah, she did know. She was encouraging Lucas to tell her. And Bobbie tells her, shame on her, that she's supposed to be the more mature one of the group and that she should have come to Bobbie. And I disagree with that. But like, he was taking it as she was disowning him, and she wasn't. She was just legitimately shocked.
Can we talk about something else real quick?
Sure.
No one ever talks about the fact that Lucky's real first name is Lucas. Right?
Nope.
Lucky's his nickname, right?
I believe
His
so.
real first, he is Lucas Lorenzo Spencer
Spencer the second.
Jr.
Is he a junior?
That's why they call him Lucky.
Yeah. Nope.
Lucky's his nickname. Lucky's not his name, right?
I don't think so, but they do. You're right. They always refer to the fact that Lucas is named after Luke, but they never say anything about
right.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
I was thinking about it when you were just reading about Lucas and Lucky talking, and I'm like, have they ever had the conversation? So what's it like?
Right. Lucas and Lucas. That's how they should have written it up. Lucas and Lucas talking.
Now that we're on the subject of too many names, because now we're talking about Frank, and that's what got me there. Because I'm like, no, it's not Frank Smith.
Oh, man. All right. Bobbie is furious to learn Georgie and Dylan knew and said nothing. She pleads for space before taking action, and at the hospital, Liz encourages her to try and understand Lucas's perspective. Lucky also learns the truth and begins to soften, realizing how painful Lucas's silence must have been. And it shows like I watched Lucky go to the hospital and Liz being like, what's wrong with Bobbie? She seems off. And him announcing that Lucas had just got beaten up because of being gay. And then Bobbie kind of gets a little snippy with Liz and is like, imagine yourself in many years, Cameron comes to you and says that he's gay. What are you going to do? And Liz was like, I really hope I'm just happy for him. Like, I don't know how to take it the way that you're taking it.
Yeah.
So, Lucas, meanwhile, tells Lulu the truth and is stunned by her relief. She is glad someone else is finally drawing family attention. And this was Lulu who, like, teenage Lulu who only cared about herself, because she legit said to him, well, now they can pay attention to you instead of being bothered with all of my stuff. And it's like, that wasn't really appropriate, Lulu, but okay. Georgie and Dylan push him to hear his mother out, and he reluctantly agrees. At the Quartermaine mansion, Tracy erupts when she overhears Lucas speaking openly, declaring that she will not have another worthless Spencer under her roof. Bobbie arrives and fiercely shuts Tracy down, threatening to rip her hair out if she ever insults Lucas again. For the first time since the revelation, Lucas sees his mother defending him fully, and he is relieved. And that was a great scene because Bobbie says, I grew up in a hard neighborhood, and if you don't stop talking crap about my son, I'm gonna B-word slap you. And Tracy is like, you're gonna what? And she's like, would you like me to show you? And Tracy's like, what in the heck?
Aww.
So it was very, very cute because Tracy was like not being nice. She was very homophobic in that moment.
It was about that though. Like, that's what she was angry about.
So she said
the time when Luke was like swindling her.
This was when so she said she didn't need another no good Spencer around. And Georgie spoke up and was like, do you realize you're talking about your husband's family? And she was like, I already have Lulu here that I can't get rid of. I don't need another Spencer here. And especially not now that I know he has issues. And that's whenever Bobbie was like and flipped out. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it was about that. That's why I was trying to not cool.
Right. Bobbie persuades Lucas to attend counseling, though Lucas privately admits he thinks she hopes that they will fix him. During his first session with Lainey, he talks about when he first realized his sexuality. Bobbie later tells Liz the counseling seems to be helping, but Tony's reaction proves far more healing. He listens, accepts Lucas completely, and reassures him of his pride. And that was super sweet. It happened, though, right as the crisis where everyone was getting sick, but they thought they were getting sick because Luke brought a monkey into the country was happening.
Yeah.
And so Lucas, part of that,
The toxic spheres.
yes, part of that disease was talking nonsense. And so Lucas sat Tony down and was like, in case I get this and I start talking nonsense, I want you to know that what I'm saying isn't nonsense. If I talk about this, I need you to know that I am gay. And Tony was like, okay, I love you. Always be your authentic self.
So Tony supported. Okay, so we've talked about this a million times on the show that like when I came back, it was literally the first episode I came back watching was Tony was dying.
Okay,
talking to Lucas. He supported him even before that.
Right. It was only a few days before it because it was that whole illness that was spreading across the hospital. But yeah, Lucas told Tony before Tony got sick, or Lucas or anyone close to them in their little circle got sick.
And he still supported him.
100%. It was actually really cute because they were on like the couch at General Hospital. And so he like said all these nice things about like always be true to yourself. I got your back. Like, thanks for telling me, whatever. But they were in the middle of a crisis. So he was kind of like, all right, are we good? Like, I gotta go. Like, he didn't say that per se, but it wasn't like a sit down hour-long conversation. It was like, all right, thanks, done. So
I always thought that Lucas told him like on his deathbed and that he knew that Tony was going to be okay. So hearing him say that at the time was solidifying. I did not. And the only reason I know is because listening to Stephen Bradford's podcast is the whole toxic spheres with the monkey stuff.
Right.
Because they reference it every now and then. Yeah.
It was Luke that brought the monkey back, so everyone was blaming it on Luke's. It was Luke's fault. The family's emotional turmoil only deepens when Lulu is poisoned. Luke demands another plasma filtering procedure, even though Bobbie warns him it's too soon and may kill him. She recruits Noah, and together they fight to bring Luke back when he crashes. Bobbie stays by Luke's side, guiding him to Lulu's bedside as the girl deteriorates. Tony and Bobbie deliver crushing news. Lulu's organs are failing and she may not survive. Bobbie tells Luke he must be with her or regret it forever. And she really was like, she was dying. She was gone. She was going to be gone. Amid this crisis, Tony's own health gives out. And he, of course, is pushing himself, like trying to help every last patient until he can't even stand.
So wait, would this have had anything to do? They should have brought this part into Lulu's liver failure. They should have said, because of the trauma that she went through back then, first of all the issues that she had when she was a baby, and then her organs failed then. She was more susceptible to having all these things, and the medication, because she was in the coma, caused the cirrhosis, like all those things. Oh, man.
Yep, missed opportunity there. You're right.
Okay.
He shares tender final moments with Lucas, telling him to stand tall and that he is proud of him. He trades affectionate goodbyes with Luke and with Bobbie, who promises that she will carry him with her until the day BJ comes to guide her home. Tony then quietly passes, believing he sees BJ waiting for him. Bobbie later sits alone with him, honoring his memory. Luke, meanwhile, comforts Lucas, telling him never to bow to ignorance and affirming that he is perfect just the way he is. And that was really sweet because Tony died with like a smile on his face because he was like,
but that's
I'm coming. Yeah.
But that's what they did with Bobbie, BJ.
Yeah.
Okay, they remembered that at least. Thank you.
Grief eventually brings reconciliation. At the cemetery, Carly approaches Bobbie to apologize for her part in the ancient wounds between Bobbie and Tony. Bobbie gently tells her that while the apology is genuine, the marriage would have fallen apart regardless. Meeting Carly, the child she gave up, was something she ultimately needed. She insists Carly attends Tony's funeral and sit with her. At the memorial, Luke delivers a moving eulogy, surprising even himself by welcoming Carly's presence.
I will forgive them by looking over Lulu's organs failing and remembering that she promised Tony.
Yep.
Oh,
that's very sweet. I'm glad I read that instead of you guys.
Me too. Carly confides in Jax about honesty and secrets, and when Bobbie arrives looking for a last-minute venue for her fundraiser, Carly and Jax eagerly volunteer the Metro Court, mainly because they are eager to return to their private moment. Bobbie leaves grateful, unaware of the passionate chaos she's just interrupted. Carly launched the Tony Jones Surgical Wing fundraiser.
I know, we never hear about it. Go ahead.
Hello. Why is that not a silent auction part of the nurses' ball? Come on, guys. We in charge of this event for 1 year. With her usual flair, introducing a cheeky bachelor auction. Didn't we already have that? We already had that because that's when Lila bid for
Edward and Emily, or was it Emily who got him? And that was whenever they talked about
did.
Was it Liz?
Liz wound up with him.
Mr. Quartermaines. Okay. Yeah, he's not in this one.
That's when he was like, you're making eyes at Lucky all night. Like, and that's when he talked to her about how much he loved Lila. And she was like, oh, if I ever find a guy that talks about me like that. Was that though? Was that the...
I was going to say, you're talking about the Lucky story. I don't know if that's this one. I mean, I guess that would make sense, but I don't remember them saying that.
Different time because Lila's dead right now. Lila's dead.
All right. So auctioning off men's okay. We can do that.
Yeah.
We're just reusing the same idea.
We did this twice.
I guess
we did the Bachelor auction twice. The Bachelor auction was for something else. No, that was the one where wasn't Lila mad at him?
Lila was mad at him.
That was the one that I was thinking of that he wound up with Liz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. Okay. It's not this episode. It's not this, but it's not this. But you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
I do.
The pairings were a mix of awkwardness and amusement. Liz ended up with Alcazar. Okay. There are all kinds of things wrong with these pairings.
Just keep reading.
Georgie, teenage, high school Georgie with adult Dr. Noah Drake. Lulu with Dylan. Oh, look at that. That was foreshadowing. Emily with Patrick. No. Sam with Rick. And that was after they had already.
Mm-hmm.
Maxie with Diego and Robin with Jax and Bobbie with Nicholas. No.
Right.
Your ex-stepson / kind of nephew.
Right.
I mean, not really, because Luke never really acknowledged him as Laura's son, but still.
True.
Ugh.
But Luke was being nicer to Nicholas at this point in time because of Laura.
Okay.
So
Carly conspicuously remained alone. Notice Jax is not. Oh, yeah, he is. He's with Robin. Never mind.
Yep.
The mood among the couples was uneasy and full of forced small talk until Carly suddenly grabbed Max onto the stage. Oh, she used poor Max and declared her love for him. He loved Mrs. C. As the music swelled, poor Sonny cannot get any help without them falling in love with Carly.
True.
As the music swelled and the crowd rose to cheer, she kissed him as if they were the night's romantic finale. And then Max jolted awake, realizing it had only been a fantasy. Poor Max. Still, when Carly later called for a ladies' choice dance, the tension finally broke, and this time she genuinely chose Max, giving him the moment he'd only dreamed of.
I just had to include that because I love that.
I know, that is great. Later, friends and family assembled at Kelly's bar for Bobbie's surprise celebration for Nicholas and baby John. Guys, that's Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
As Bobbie and Liz bustled in the kitchen. Oh, that was her nephew's, no, not grandson. What grandson was it that she was celebrating the birthday party for then?
Michael. It was New Year's. Michael.
Was it Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As Bobbie and Liz bustled in the kitchen and Lucky cornered Maxie to beg for more pain pills, Nicholas arrived, triggering the group's joyful shout of surprise. Leslie grew misty-eyed as she held the baby, wishing Laura could see her son and new grandchild. Another day brought yet another gathering at Kelly's, this time Liz, Lucky, Bobbie, and Tracy surprising Lulu for her 18th birthday. Lulu was touched that anyone remembered. When Nicholas appeared carrying the baby, he announced the infant's name had been changed to Spencer. Okay, so I didn't realize that was happening at the end of the paragraph. Honoring the siblings who had rallied around him. And John was after, because that's when Jax thought that he was the dad, and that was after Jax's dad, John. So that's why the name was changed to Spencer, honoring the Spencer family.
Right, and that is obviously Spencer is Courtney's, and that is whenever they were talking a few paragraphs ago about Bobbie talking about wanting to help Carly and Mike being sad about missing Courtney because Courtney had just died because she had the baby.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, at the hospital, and we did an entire 411 about Courtney also.
Yes.
Meanwhile, at the hospital, a familiar figure appeared as if walking out of a memory. Laura. She quietly asked a nurse whether Bobbie still worked there, then spotting her old friend, called out softly. Bobbie turned, stunned to see Laura fully alert and moving freely. They embraced, Bobbie overwhelmed, and immediately asking why Luke had never told her that Laura was recovering. Laura, innocent and hopeful, asked after Tony. Bobbie froze, unable to deliver the news of his death. I do hate this for the actors. Okay,
Right.
to be fair, Brad Mull did not die.
Right. But still.
But like when Lucky missed Bobbie's funeral, like I hate that for the actors. Before she could find words, like Steve Burton missed Bobbie's funeral.
Right.
That sucks. Tracy approached complaining about her useless husband, only to nearly collapse in shock when Laura turned around. The reunion was joyous but fragile. Laura eager to reconnect, Bobbie anxious about how much truth her mind could bear. Nicholas arrived and embraced his mother, while Bobbie phoned Luke to demand an explanation. Luke pleaded with her not to mention Rick Weber or any painful details, terrified that Laura's tenuous recovery would shatter. Bobbie confided that even Tony's death had seemed too dangerous to broach. They agreed to follow the doctor's guidance without withholding anything that might trigger a relapse. That Christmas, the children gathered. Alan read the traditional holiday passage. Lulu grew emotional when Bobbie presented her with the gift Luke had left, the engagement ring he had recently given Laura, a tender reminder of their fractured but enduring family.
And then we're into 2007. Tensions flared again at the hospital nurses station when Sam confronted Liz in front of everyone about Jason. The argument became so heated that Miss Sneed, don't you remember that woman? I hated her. She was in night shift also. Threatened disciplinary action until Epiphany stepped in, pointing out Sam wasn't on duty and that Liz didn't answer to Sneed, and both of them had risked everything to help Jason during the... So Epiphany's talking to Jason, or talking to Sam and Jason, reminding that they had done everything to help Jason during the crisis that Epiphany herself had faked being a hostage for Sam. Still furious, Sam quit her job. At home, drunk and distraught, she smashed a glass before Jason arrived and accepted her shaky apology. Bobbie, hearing about the confrontation, gently approached Liz to offer perspective on Sam's pain, especially in light of Jason's recent rescue of Liz on New Year's. So this would be when Jake was conceived. But we don't know that yet. During Spencer's homecoming celebration, and this is different because I went back and checked. I was like, why are we repeating this? We just had a party. But one was whenever Nicholas took custody of Spencer and was like, this is my son, because it all came out. This was official. I don't know if there needed to be paperwork done or what, but this was official that now Spencer was Nicholas's. So we're having another party. So,
well, the one that we just went to was Lulu's birthday party. Nicholas just happened to.
But before that, Bobbie had a congratulations party.
Okay, there were too many parties.
Right?
And, that's why I was like, wait a second, which grandson was she just talking about? Because it was not. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had a party because Nicholas found out that Spencer, who they were calling John, was his. Then they had Lulu's birthday party, and now this is another party celebrating Spencer's homecoming.
Okay.
So during Spencer's homecoming celebration, Bobbie encouraged everyone to attend the upcoming MetroCorp benefit. Liz and Lucky prepared to go together, while Maxie, bitter and sniping, helped Liz with a maternity dress. Elsewhere, Nicholas and Emily, quietly aware of Liz's complicated history with Jason, expressed relief that the baby truly was Lucky's. Bobbie later sought out Jason at the coffee shop, urging him to stop Carly and Sonny from spiraling into another destructive loop. Jason insisted he couldn't dictate their choices, no matter how much Bobbie feared Sonny pulling Carly back into a marriage that would implode all over again. And this was another marriage that they needed to do for convenience. Sonny was viewing it as a real marriage, and Carly was just like, okay, I'll do what I have to do. Dressed for the fundraiser, Bobbie stopped at Kelly's and found Scott Baldwin casually eating fries. Delighted but wary, she asked why he was back in town. Scott admitted that he had visited Laura and learned that she'd awakened months earlier. He wanted the full story, and Bobbie reluctantly shared how Laura had remembered the truth about killing Rick Weber by accident and how she had found peace with it. Scott immediately sought someone to blame, which only intensified after Luke ran into him later and warned him not to get too close to Laura. Inside the Metro Court Hotel, chaos erupted when Mr. Craig stormed the benefit, masked and armed, ordering the men to collect everyone's valuables. Sam attempted to hit the silent alarm, and though Craig caught her, the police arrived outside moments later. Bobbie arrived amid the unfolding crisis and found Luke, who had tried and failed to get Lulu. She reassured him he had done right by rescuing Alan. If you want to be sad again.
I do. This episode's horrible.
Instead, she coaxed Georgie away from the dangerous scene, though Dylan stubbornly stayed. Ultimately, Alan did not survive, leaving the whole community shaken. In the aftermath, Scott and Bobbie discussed Alan's memorial. Scott hinted that his sudden reappearance might have unsettled Monica, but Bobbie dismissed that, more worried about Monica returning to work too soon. Meanwhile, Lulu confronted Scott about Rick Weber. The argument escalated until Logan intervened. And Logan's the guy that we didn't know was Scott's, but he was dating Lulu.
Mm-hmm.
Shaken, Lulu confided in Dylan that she didn't know whether uncovering the truth would help or destroy her family. Spinelli burst in declaring he had proof Scott killed Rick Weber, but Lulu, emotionally exhausted, refused to use it. At the hospital, Scott and Luke nearly came to blows again over Lulu and Laura until Bobbie stepped between them, begging them to stop destroying everyone around them with their feud. Luke was soon arrested, and as Tracy visited him, Alan's ghost continued haunting her. That storyline was so crazy. Bobbie summoned Scott, coaxing him to drop the charges as she agreed to go out to lunch with him and gently challenging his claims that Luke had been crazy when he staged Laura's circus wedding. And that was whenever Laura and him got married because she still thought they were together and all that.
Well, it was the 25th anniversary of Luke and Laura, so they were having them, and that's when he was married to Tracy, and she was all mad about it and everything.
Exactly.
To be fair, the show had to honor Luke and Laura's 25th wedding anniversary. People skipped college classes for that.
They did, but that's why Scott is referring to it as a circus wedding, because it wasn't a real wedding, because he was married to Tracy. Tracy started Luke's bail process just as Bobbie and Scott arrived. Scott agreed to drop the charges, but not without another argument. Bobbie and Tracy pleaded with both men to put the past to rest, though neither seemed capable of doing so for long. Even as Bobbie warned Scott not to drag Lulu into old battles, Scott fretted over her involvement with Spinelli and whatever information they might dig up. Bobbie in turn warned Luke that Scott was itching for an excuse to reveal Laura's rape. Meanwhile, Bobbie helped with Carly's wedding preparations, asking bluntly whether Carly was truly done with Sonny. Carly insisted that while Sonny remained important to her, Jax was the man she was meant to marry. Lulu tried to cover for Carly's panic over Jason's disappearance, but Bobbie saw through it. On the wedding day, Lulu helped the frantic bride fix last-minute disasters until Bobbie and Lady Jane arrived with the traditional gifts. Something old from Bobbie, something new from Jane, something borrowed from Lulu, and something blue courtesy of Max, who happily surrendered a blue handkerchief and basked in Carly's gratitude. I love him and Carly. I know she can't get together with the bodyguards, but I want her to. Amid all the wedding chaos, Luke and Tracy fretted over guardianship of Laura. As the Quartermaines gathered, Luke insisted he should be Laura's guardian, only for Scott to burst in demanding custody himself. Bobbie, who had convened the meeting, implored them all to stop fighting. Dylan erupted in anger at Scott, hinting at buried secrets about Rick Weber's death before retreating. Later, Alan's ghost and Tracy speculated whether Dylan knew Scott had killed Rick, and Tracy urged Dylan to destroy any evidence rather than to let the truth destroy Luke. Craig, who was actually Jerry Jax, hid in Carly's house as she returned early from her honeymoon, and when Bobbie phoned to tell her about Liz's condition, Carly hurried off to support Lulu. Bobbie also notified Luke of the birth of his grandson. At court, Scott tried to avoid Bobbie, but she confronted him, reminding him Laura had forgiven Luke and chosen him. In the heat of pleading for Laura's well-being, Bobbie accidentally blurted out the long-buried truth of Laura's rape. And then the courthouse fell into a stunned silence when the judge awarded guardianship of Laura to Scott. Alexis challenged the ruling, arguing fiercely that Laura had been of sound mind when choosing Nicholas as her guardian. But the judge questioned Laura's past decisions and claimed Scott had her best interest at heart. Afterwards, Scott tried to reassure Lucky and Lulu that he wasn't keeping them from their mother, but Lulu lashed out, insisting Laura would hate him for this. Luke echoed her rage while Bobbie tried to steady him, insisting the battle wasn't over. Alexis vowed she would appeal and win. And if you remember, Scott was like a jerk about it because he was like, you can visit your mother whenever you want. Like he was doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Ugh. Noah struggled with
At the same time, so infuriated with him.
Right?
Like,
Noah's struggles with sobriety deepens when he slips into the bar during his time impersonating rock star Eli Love. Bobbie spots him and, unsure at first whether it's Noah or Eli she's talking to, gently probes his intentions. He insists the drink in front of him is only club soda, but she can't hide her concern that maintaining Eli's hard-living persona could endanger his recovery. After she leaves, a grateful fan thanks Noah for helping save Eli's life and for continuing the charity work. As they talk, the bartender delivers alcoholic drinks. Noah hesitates, then takes a long drink. Shaken and ashamed, he returns to the hospital where Patrick briefs him on an urgent surgery for a pregnant patient. When Patrick invites his father to scrub in, Noah surprises him by declining, giving Patrick a chance to shine on his own. And Patrick thought that it was just like a super sweet thing that his dad was like, you got this, buddy, you don't need me, when really he was too drunk to be operating. Meanwhile, Carly reels from the trauma she witnessed at Windermere and works hard to steady herself. Wanting to restore normalcy, she insists on creating the perfect Thanksgiving for the boys with Jax, Mike, and Bobbie. At the Quartermaine mansion, Skye drops by hoping to greet Luke, but learns from Tracy that he is undergoing tests. So he's at the hospital. That wasn't at the mansion. I don't know. I'm sorry. That shouldn't say at the mansion. She dropped by the hospital hoping to see him, but that Luke is undergoing tests. She leaves him a note, one Tracy promptly snatches up, only to discover it's actually intended for her. Skye's message cuts straight into Tracy's insecurities, warning that no amount of scheming will keep Luke away from her forever. Alan's ghost appears, admonishing Tracy not for jealousy, but for ingratitude. She should cherish the love she has rather than fearing losing it. Tracy admits she isn't frightened of Luke's infidelity anymore. She just didn't want him spending what might be his last moments with Skye. When Bobbie overhears Tracy talking to an empty room, Tracy's secret spiritual connection unravels slightly. Luke returns, bewildered by talk of a visitor, but the women deflect. Bobbie stays behind with Luke, refusing to lecture him, but confessing her love and fear of losing him. And he's like doing everything he can to like not follow the doctor's orders. Terrified that Monica is too emotionally unstable after Emily's murder, Tracy opposes her performing Luke's heart surgery. Luke, after a heartfelt conversation with Bobbie, Lulu, Lucky, and Skye, finally goes to the operating room. He survives, waking to find Tracy dozing beside him. She tells him that he slept straight through Christmas and the surgery succeeded. In the lobby, Lulu runs into Johnny, but Lucky barges in, ordering Johnny to stay away from Lulu. Lulu quietly smothers her anger and goes to see her father, but the tension lingers. Luke senses something is wrong, yet Lucky refuses to talk before Bobbie arrives for a heartfelt visit. His doctor later urges him to quit drinking and smoking, and Tracy promises he will, while Luke secretly calls a supplier to secure a shipment of Cuban cigars.
And then we're in 2008. Sonny walks Michael through the operations of a legitimate coffee business, assuring his son that if he handles things correctly, he'll never need a gun. See, proof he did not shoot Drew. Boom. Have we ever seen Michael shoot a gun?
I don't think so.
That's not how he killed Claudia.
No.
Off the top of my head, I cannot.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Michael beams under Sonny's praise, but their peace shatters when Dr. Ian Devlin fires a shot into the warehouse. Sonny tackles Kate instinctively. Michael collapses with a bullet to the head. He got shot in the head twice?
No, this was it.
Then what were we talking about earlier?
When he was kidnapped, they said he was killed.
Oh, that's right, because it was the fake picture. It was the fake picture.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is the one that was baby Dylan Cash, like not baby Dylan Cash, but like it was the fake one on the ground, right?
I love that I know this is a lot more years than we normally follow, but I love within these couple years, you're like, wait, Michael was just dead. What are you talking about? Yeah, he was dead because they faked
No, but
it 'cause
that's
he
the
was
picture I
kidnapped.
was thinking of, right?
Yes.
That's not this one.
No, that's not this. No, the picture was staged. He was not actually
Right.
dead.
And that's the picture I was thinking of.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Was correct. Okay.
Right. Yep.
That's where I was like, wait a second. I'm like, did I mess up that entire photo that I had in my head? Nope. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, one's from the kidnapping. This is from the actual shooting.
Paramedics rush him to General Hospital. Bobbie arrives to support Carly, promising to care for Morgan and try to steady her devastated daughter while Jax remains stranded out of state, phoning hourly for updates. At the nurse's station, see, this is when texting would have been handy.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, not something you text, but at the same time, it's like, any update, yes, no, cool. Don't need a phone call for that. At the nurse's station, Liz overhears Patrick telling Robin the bleak truth. Michael will never wake up.
Oh, no.
Whoa, what is going to happen? Bobbie confides in Luke at the Haunted Star, bleak about Michael's chances and bitter about Carly's entanglement with Sonny. Luke reminds her that life is full of painful choices and people must learn to live with them. At the hospital, Carly and Jax clash over whether Michael should be moved to a long-term care facility. Bobbie gently comforts Carly after the argument, later presenting the papers needed to transfer Michael. When Carly hesitates, Jax offers to sign them himself, but Bobbie firmly reminds him that only a parent can make that decision. Carly finally signs, and the three visit Michael together. That night, Morgan stays with Bobbie, comforted by the promise of her famous macaroni and cheese. Yes, because nothing says, my brother's going to be okay and come back to life like mac and cheese.
I mean, when you're
that
a little
would be
boy,
the worst thing for you because you hate mac and cheese.
I do hate mac and cheese.
See, that is something you need to have in your will. No mac and cheese at my wake. Because you leave it in the wrong hands and people are going to be bringing
there's definitely new mac and cheese.
casserole dish of mac and cheese to your family. Oh. And I'm going to go, no. Have it in your will. All mac and cheese dishes sent to Shannon.
All right.
As Carly seeks advice about her increasingly strained marriage, Bobbie draws painful parallels to her own past. The death of BJ, the collapse of her marriage to Tony, and Carly's own meddling years earlier. She tells Carly that if she wants her marriage to work, she must work with Jax, not retreat into her long-standing reliance on Jason. Elsewhere, Sonny tells Luke about his marriage to Claudia and the new entanglements between their families and businesses. He apologizes for mob violence that burned down Kelly's and promises to rebuild it.
Yeah, now we're into 2010. So yeah, that whenever it says Bobbie longed for it, Bobbie was like in and out already. Like it was just a mention here and there. Luke, I'm assuming, knew because he's her brother that she wanted it to be rebuilt, and they rebuilt it the exact same way as it had been before it got messed up. But Bobbie wasn't like there trying to oversee it.
Right. She wasn't overseeing construction. She wasn't.
Right. It was just like, yeah, okay. So we're into 2010. Bobbie seeks out Alexis, who fears she faces jail after an accident. Bobbie gently presses her to consider counseling for Christina, then opens up about her own history of abuse from Tim Spencer and from her husband, D.L. Brock. She reassures Alexis that she is still a strong role model and that therapy can help Christina heal. Later, Bobbie encounters Ethan and is unable to treat him herself and trusts Maya with tending to his injured hand. And again, this year, like that was it, that little blip. Alexis, this was whenever she hit Kiefer and she was like in the hospital feeling bad because Christina was never going to trust her and she was going to go to jail. So Bobbie, why do I keep doing that? Bobbie comforted her.
To be fair, Barbie is short for like Barbara. So I will, I
keep doing it. So Bobbie was at the hospital and was like comforting like she would, but that was like all that happened. And then she was gone until 2013.
Okay.
After a long absence, Bobbie returns in 2013, accompanying Scott to Laura's loft, only to find it is sealed with police tape. Nicholas has been shot, and everyone has rushed to the hospital. Scott bitterly resents being kept from Laura's side because of Luke, and Bobbie gently absorbs his frustration. Sitting with Laura outside Nicholas's room, Bobbie provides steady support as Laura frets over her children and wonders why Luke hasn't surfaced. When alarms suddenly blare, Laura and Bobbie rush in, catching Luke injecting adrenaline into Nicholas's IV in a desperate attempt to force him awake and reveal Lulu's location. Horrified, Bobbie yanks the vial free while Laura slaps Luke and orders him out. Bobbie assures him that most of the adrenaline never reached Nicholas's bloodstream, but the emotional damage is done because Lulu was kidnapped, and Nicholas might know where that was.
Yeah.
Luke refuses to apologize, still focused on finding Lulu, but Bobbie warns him he's crossed a dangerous line. Moments later, Dante and Anna arrive with a lead. Lulu may have been taken onto the Haunted Star, now in international waters. Laura insists on joining the rescue mission, leaving Scott behind to watch over Nicholas. An unspoken sign of trust that Bobbie points out gently, because Scott was like all mad that he couldn't go help look for Lulu, and he didn't like the fact that Laura and Luke were going to be hanging out together, like they're taking time to hook up in the middle looking for their daughter. And so Bobbie's like, no, she trusted you with Nicholas. That's a big deal. And then as the nurses' ball preparations ramp up, Richard Simmons, and I just totally included this because I had to.
Yeah, you got to.
Just so you know, the blip about Bobbie is real small, but I just had to go on to it. At the nurses' ball preparations ramp up, Richard Simmons unveils a disco rap number full of decade-old Port Charles gossip, scandalizing the volunteers. Lucy refuses to let him humiliate Monica. Furious, Richard demands Bobbie's presence, certain that she will take his side. But Epiphany and the rest of the nurses vote to change the lyrics. Enraged, Richard storms out, declaring that if his song is cut, he is done. And he referred to Bobbie as like his best friend, like they were the besties from back in the 80s or whenever he had been there before. Bobbie visits Carly at her house, and the two women settle into an unusually honest conversation. Bobbie brought Carly up to date on Lulu's kidnapping and on Nicholas's precarious condition, prompting Carly to respond by venting her fury at AJ. She launches into a litany of his faults, insisting that he was as sleazy as ever and that the only good thing he had ever done was get her pregnant with Michael. She even confesses that she wished Tracy would win control of ELQ so that she could pull Michael out of AJ's grasp. Bobbie gently reminds her daughter that Carly herself had once manipulated Michael's paternity, hiding the truth because she had wanted Tony to believe he was the father. That reminder softened Carly. Contrite, she apologized for the pain she had caused Bobbie, Bobbie assured Carly that their love was unconditional. And this is whenever we thought that AJ had been dead, and then he came back, and he was trying to whatever. Emotions deepened as Carly admitted that Jason's death had left a gaping hole in her life and made her cling more tightly to the people she still loved. When Bobbie asked what Jason would want for her, Carly said he would want her to be happy, something she realized she had to start creating for herself instead of searching for others to rescue her. Bobbie encouraged this newfound self-awareness, and Carly said she hoped it would give Jocelyn a more stable home. Her thoughts drifted to Morgan, saddened that he no longer visited Port Charles. Perhaps, she mused, Jax's absence had driven him away. Bobbie teased that Carly could simply remarry Jax, but Carly insisted there was far too much baggage. Curious, Carly asked Bobbie about Scott. Bobbie replied firmly that Scott was in love with Laura and that she no longer chased men who loved other women, a lesson she hoped Carly had learned too. Bobbie reminded her daughter that faith in herself was the key to happiness. They shared an emotional hug and exchanged I love yous before Bobbie left. Carly had barely begun to reflect on Bobbie's advice when the doorbell rang. She opened it to find Jax standing there. And this was whenever Morgan was gone because he was dating Kiki, but we hadn't met Kiki yet.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, preparations for the ball continued. Maxie, glowing with pregnancy, received compliments from everyone, and Bobbie felt a quiet, bittersweet pride, knowing the pain of being unable to have a child herself and imagining that BJ would be proud of her cousin's role in helping Lulu become a mother. In the ballroom, Bobbie greeted Noah with warmth. He apologized for interrupting a phone call, but she assured him that it had only been Scott checking in. Surprised, Noah wondered if she and Scott were dating. Bobbie laughed at this, joking that it had been years since she had faked blindness to keep a man. As they parted, she went to check on Scott in his suite and was startled when he drunkenly kissed her. Pulling back, Bobbie noticed empty minibar bottles strewn everywhere. Scott admitted he had been drowning in regret and wondered what might have been had he and Bobbie stayed together. Bobbie acknowledged she had once wondered that too, but her acceptance of his love for Laura had long since ended the fantasy. She urged him to keep the faith and love despite his cynicism, admitting her own romantic track record was a string of failures. Scott insisted something must be wrong with the men in Seattle if they weren't lining up for her. She chuckled and said she simply hadn't found the right one, but hadn't given up hope. Later, when he emerged freshly showered, Scott learned that she had to return to Seattle. He apologized for the kiss and told her that she had helped him through a rough moment. Bobbie appreciated the sentiment, but said she was needed back at work. At the airport, she unexpectedly ran into Noah again, only to discover he was also headed to Seattle General. Stunned, she learned he already knew that she worked there. Before boarding, Bobbie called Carly to report on the search for Lulu and to say that she was leaving town. Carly was disappointed but wished her a safe flight. And then she was gone for months working in Seattle. Months later, Bobbie returns to Port Charles and went looking for Luke at the Metro Court, only to find Jerry Jacks tied to Luke's bed. Jerry told her a desperate story and begged her to retrieve a cure that could save his life. Bobbie's patience with him had been exhausted years earlier, especially after he had been arrested on their wedding day. But his pleas eventually softened her. Unable to reach Luke by phone, she went to the lab to search for the cure, but returned empty-handed. Jerry then begged her to release him so he could save himself. Against her better judgment, she hesitated, and Jerry seized the advantage, taking her hostage. With a knife at her throat, he forced her to call Luke and demand the cure. Dragging Bobbie towards the terrace to meet a rescue helicopter, Jerry ran into Carly, who erupted the moment Jerry mentioned Luke. Luke arrived soon after. Jerry demanded the serum. Carly demanded Luke comply. Luke refused, bluffing that he would drop the vial unless Jerry released Bobbie. A tense standoff followed. As the helicopter neared, Jerry relented and let Bobbie go. She ran to Carly while Luke ordered Jerry to drop the knife. Jerry obeyed, but then lunged at Luke when Luke released to hand over the serum because he intended it for Sean Donnelly. In the struggle that followed, both men toppled over the railing. Horrified, Bobbie froze until Carly checked the ledge and shouted that Luke was still alive. Together, mother and daughter hauled Luke back to safety. Afterwards, Carly confronted him for risking Bobbie's life, but Bobbie admitted that Luke's bluff had simply gone too far. When Carly asked about Jerry, Bobbie doubted that he could have survived the fall, though Luke wasn't so sure. After searching for Jerry, Carly returned to report that he had vanished, possibly aided by Ava. Conversations then turned to Julian Jerome, who Carly explained was alive, news that shocked Bobbie, who insisted Tony had been Lucas's real father in every way. She dreaded the day Julian learned about Lucas. That paragraph summarized a lot to really together. So I watched the video of them on the terrace, and Luke had the vial and he wouldn't give it to Jerry. And so Carly was freaking out, and Bobbie was really calm the entire time. She was like, I know my brother, it's okay, it's fine. And then they both fell over. Jerry fell and hit, the canopy at on the hotel, because that's totally realistic, and rolled off and was fine. And that was whenever Carly told Bobbie that that's who it was, because remember he had the surgery to change his face, so Carly didn't know that that's who that was. And so that was why
he went from a very handsome brunette with a thick Australian accent to a English blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, that was a great surgery. I'm good with both versions, but yes.
Yes. So, as they were talking about who would be working with who, is how it came up that Julian was alive.
No,
And
we're talking about Julia, not Jerry. I'm sorry.
oh, Jerry changed too, but Julian
No,
is who they don't know. You're good.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So that's where the next paragraph gets into. Julian himself soon passed through the Metro Court lobby. Carly recognized him at once and later explained to Bobbie who he was. Sam added fuel to the situation, admitting that in a heated exchange, she had accidentally mentioned her and Lucas's connection to Julian. Bobbie felt her anxiety spike. She knew Lucas would eventually have to be told. Outside Kelly's, Bobbie and Luke ran into Lulu, who confessed she was barely holding up after losing custody of Connie, which would have been Georgie.
Yes.
Bobbie was sympathetic and listened as Lulu confided that her remaining embryos had disappeared. After Lulu left, Bobbie confided to Luke that her fear that Julian might find Lucas. The fear intensified when Alexis called Bobbie to report that Julian had been asking questions about Lucas. A short time later, Julian entered Kelly's. He approached the Spencer siblings, introduced himself, and explained that his appearance had changed due to plastic surgery. Bobbie pretended not to know who he was. At that moment, Lucas called Bobbie's phone, prompting Julian to ask who Lucas was. Luke intervened with a quick lie, claiming he had butt dialed Bobbie. As Julian stepped away to take a call, Bobbie and Luke sagged with relief. Bobbie then phoned Lucas back, feeling guilty for lying, but unable to tell him the truth. Brother and sister soon settled into pie and memories of their Aunt Ruby, acknowledging her grit and honesty aside from the occasional protective lie. Luke reminded Bobbie that through loss and upheaval, they still had each other and always would.
Aw.
Oh, that was a lot. It was a lot, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't have dragged it out into less years.
I know what you mean.
Does that make sense?
More years.
More years. There we go. I don't know my words.
Enough. It was just enough.
Thanks for traveling through that as we remember what we watched 100 years ago also.
Right? Listen, that is the purpose of these 411s.
But when I watched the videos, I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. What are they talking about?
I know.
Like, something that I was watching today had Rocco whenever Britt still had him. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like that was just yesterday, but we know that wasn't because Rocco's now supposed to be a teenager.
Especially where she's back and it's such front and center story. I feel like revisiting the origin to it is even weirder.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review. And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.